I decree today 10 million is navigating its way towards me. All things are mine, saith the word of the Lord. Make no mistakes. These good things that they gave to you in the Bible, they are there. They are real. Nobody made it up. It's right there, all in there. The word of the Lord speaks about your prosperity, about your health, about your well-being. It really does address those things. But what I'm saying is that you cannot take half of the Bible and teach it. You will raise a people that are so lopsided that it may actually be to their detriment. This is what happened with a lot of us. Short teaching today, but I think it's an important message, and Shade already started, so at this point I should probably even hand her my notes and be like, you know what, just finish the meeting because you already started it, right? But the teaching today, the topic I have, if you're on YouTube you can see it already, it's titled The Danger of the Comfortable, right? Actually was going to title it The Danger of the Complacent, and I might actually change it to the plight of the complacent, right? But so I'll read, the portion of scriptures we're going to be taking a look at, and we're going to dive into the topic so that you understand why this is important. And that's why I was excited when Shade started leading the prayers, because I was like, this brings me very, nicely into the message today. And she was talking about the danger of not knowing who you are. And, as a result of that, I mean, if you don't know who you are, you can hardly know what you're supposed to do, right? You can hardly know what you even have. You don't even understand the position you should occupy. And many times it would seem that this is the way that, Christians tend to operate, right? It's almost as though we assume that our entry into the faith is like, I don't know, it's like we think it's just one free for all. It's like a carnival, right? We got pulled into a carnival and it's like everybody is party time, let's go, right? I don't know, but it would feel that way, the way that many of us order our lives. And so the teaching I have today, I'm going to be reading a portion of scripture from the book of Judges, and if you couldn't tell already, I've been spending quite some time in that book, and there are quite a number of things that you would learn if you just like slow down and kind of read the book. Lots of lessons, because that was a window where essentially the children of Israel didn't have a prophet over them. They didn't have a king either, right? So like people were just kind of doing what they wanted, and then from time to time God would raise a judge for the people, and that person would kind of straighten things out for a little bit, get them in line, and then it will go on for that window, and then after that person passes, then chaos all over again, the children of Israel all over the place, a mess, all of that, and then afterwards they'd cry, a judge. So the children of Israel were in that loop, they were in that cycle. And so if you take the time to study that book, you'll learn a lot about what it looked like for them when they were in that season of alignment with God, and what it looked like to live without, the authority of God over their life, without hearing God, without living the way that God had asked them to, right? So for sake of time, I'm going to go on and read the portion that I want us to look at today. It's in Judges chapter 18, right? And I'll read a few of those verses. I don't want to start from the beginning just because, I don't have all of that time. I think I have about 45 minutes to finish this teaching. So, but it says here from verse 7, it says, "Then the 5 men departed and came to Laish." To be honest, I don't like when I have to read a portion of scripture and there's a bunch before it. And so you're missing the context, you know what I mean? So let me just go on and start, okay? And I'll run through it fast. From verse 1, it says, "In those days there was no king in Israel, and in those days the tribe of the Danites sought them an inheritance to dwell in. For unto that day all their inheritance had not fallen unto them among the tribes of Israel. And the children of Dan sent of their family 5 men from their coasts, men of valor, from Zorah and from Eshtaol, to spy out the land and to search it. And they said unto them, Go, search the land. Who, when they came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Micah, they lodged there. When they were by the house of Micah, they knew the voice of the young man, the Levite, and they turned in thither and said unto him, Who brought thee hither? And what makest thou in this place?" Let's, skip that a little bit. And then verse 7, okay? So we get the picture now. 5 men from the tribe of Danites, they're looking for a place to settle. They're looking for an inheritance where they could settle in, right? And so they were passing through a certain place, came to this house of Micah, but that's just really on their way. And that's kind of a different story on its own, which we'll explore another day. But anyway, so Verse 7, it says, then the 5 men departed from, Micah's house, and came to Laish, or Laish. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but I think I'll just say Laish. And saw the people that were therein. And this is where I want us to pay attention. It says, how they dwelt careless after the manner of the Zidonians, quiet and secure. And there was no magistrate in the land that might put them to shame in anything. And they were far from the Zidonians, and had no business with any man. And they came unto their brethren to Zorah and Eshtaol, and their brethren said unto them, what say ye? And they said, arise that we may go up against them, for we have seen the land, and behold, it is very good. And are ye still? Be not slothful to go and to enter to possess the land. Right? So let me pause here and kind of bring together what I've read, because I know I skipped a couple of verses just for the sake of time, but we're seeing the story of these 5 men from the tribe of Dan who have to go out and find an inheritance for their people. And obviously they're traveling, along many paths and literally looking for the best place, right? And if you're looking for an inheritance, you're not looking to go into a place where you feel like, okay, these people are going to take me out in a heartbeat, right? So they're looking for a place that would be easy, a place that won't have a lot of, problems, a lot of contention, all of that, so that it'll be easy for them, right? And so it says here, the 5 men departed, and came to Laish. Verse 7, I'm reading that again, okay? It says, and they saw the people that were therein. So they are describing the people of this location, this place called Laish, right? Remember, they're looking for a place to settle, and so they've come upon Laish. And it said they saw the people that were therein, how they dwelt careless, after the manner of the Zidonians, quiet and secure. And there was no magistrate in the land that might put them to shame in anything. And what they mean when they say quiet and secure, it's not necessarily that, oh, these people are nice people. No, it's just saying that they were just living, they were just chill. They were just flexing. They were just lounging. Let me put it that way. And they just were living their best life. I think that's the way I would describe it. I said they were just living carelessly anyhow. Anything that they liked, they just did it. Living their best life, quiet and secure. No one was bothering them. It says there was no magistrate in the land, and it said they were also far from the Zidonians. So there was no one around them to even bother them, nothing, no challenges, no problems, nothing at all. They were just living there by themselves. It was a beautiful land. And the children of the tribe of Dan, they acknowledged it. They said, we have seen the land, and behold, it is very good. They said, behold, it is very good. So they even acknowledge that, listen, that's the reason why they even had any interest in that place in the first place, right? Because why would you want a place that isn't good? And why wouldn't it be? So you can now understand the reason why these people of this city, or I'm not sure if it was a city or what, but it just said they came to Laish. Anyway, so the people of Laish, you can understand why they would have been living a very chill life, just flexing. Please, if you can hear clearly on YouTube, if everything is working fine on YouTube, just let me know, indicate in the comment section, so that I know. When it's quite like that, I wonder if everything is working fine. But okay, so they were just living fine. And so the Bible says, and there went from thence of the family of the Danites out of Zorah and out of Eshtaol 600 men appointed with weapons of war. And these men obviously, moved out, and that was their assignment, was to go out and take over that territory called Laish. Now, there's a reason that I've shared this story, and I want to just kind of give the message so that we understand it. When you look at the Christian life, even the average Christian, and probably even you yourself, maybe a short while ago, because I can tell you that I can relate to that situation. Okay, they are describing a people who have a good thing going for them, who have a nice thing, who have something that was given to them, something that was good, something that, I don't know, it would be the envy of other people. Okay, it was a situation where they had no reason to worry, they had no reason to be concerned. I mean, life is good, life is wonderful, everything is working out, everything is perfect, like everything looks great. But the Bible records that these 5 men, imagine these people are sitting on their own in their village. Let me just say it was a village. I don't know what it was, but let me just say village. They're sitting down on their own. And these 5 men are passing by, and they're like, So all this just for you people. Like, that's pretty much what it was. That's pretty much what it was. People sitting there minding their business, not looking for anybody's trouble. The Bible said they dwelt by themselves. They didn't bother anybody. Nobody bothered them. They just sat down there quietly. And the Bible said that these people came past there. Oh, thank you, Shade, and wonderful Madam Akudo. So these people came past there and they said, you know what, this one that they have, I like it. And you know what's interesting is this. Yes, I know we're talking about the children of Dan and all of that, but I want you to understand that this is typically what the landscape of life looks like. So people are sitting there by themselves. They're not bothering anybody. And these people are going, looking for what they can possess. And they meet a people. And they didn't just decide that they wanted their land because that land was good. They looked at the quality of the people. They looked at the type of people. Said, these ones don't have problem. They don't have any allies. They don't have any strong links one way or another. So it's not a matter of like, if we come at them right now, there will be other countries that rise up and come and fight with them. They don't have any allies. And not only do they not have people, they themselves, they are not even prepared for any such. They don't even know anything about this life. And they decided, we're going to go take it. And the reason I've said is because this is truly the way that life looks like many times. And I wish that things like this would be raised, would be taught, right? Because the truth is, we have largely a body of believers who we don't even know who we are. We don't know the landscape that we operate in. So that's why when Shadow was raising her prayers, it excited me a lot, because I was like, this is really what I'm trying to say today. So many of us, the perspective that we had of the Christian faith was that it's basically the similitude of a soft life. That once you have given your life to Christ, you have entered it. Like, that's it. Just chill and life is good. Okay? And if this is the kind of messaging that you used to receive, like maybe, at a point in time of your life, like, in the church you used to attend, if this was the kind of message you used to receive, you have to be aware of the fact that you received a half message. That's the honest truth. And right now, obviously, I'm not speaking about any church in particular or anything. I'm just saying, like, because I'm telling you that, growing up, this is the kind of setting that I was in. We just understand this nice, pious and, sanctimonious things about the scripture. We read a few hymns and everybody go home. Because we just somehow were raised to believe that if we live like the people of Laish, if we sit down by ourselves and just enjoy our wonderful life, nobody or nothing can bother us. So I know growing up, I would hear that thing, oh, this thing can't bother you. It can't affect you if you don't believe in it. Like, don't even pay attention to those things. It can't affect you if you don't believe it. If you don't, all those kinds of things would hear growing up. And why wouldn't you feel that way? Why wouldn't you believe that? And the interesting thing is that you would hear it from people who actually come from maybe places like towns, villages, families that are run over by witchcraft and all kind of demonic altars. So it's almost as though, now these are not people who were trying to participate in that way of life, right? But it was as though, I'm a Christian now. So my thing is, I don't believe in it. So it can't work. So because it's like, well, I can't go there and beat all of them and tell them to shut down their witchcraft. But I can tell myself that as long as I don't believe that it's real or that it exists or that, they actually have any power, it can't bother me. I feel like it was a way to give people this idea of comfort so that they wouldn't even worry or they wouldn't bother or whatever. But it was not the truth. And we know the danger of trying to change what the word says. Because when a person can find a way to poke hole in a lie that was sold as a truth, it makes them question even the things that are true. And we saw that in the story of Eve and Adam. When this enemy came to her, he said, did God say you should not eat? He said, God said we should not even touch it. We should not even look. Like, do you get? Like, because more was added to it. Whereas God said, don't eat. So when people begin to believe these things that are not really scriptural, but they make you feel good, it opens the room for the enemy to poke holes in that, layer of lies that you built around yourself, and then opens you up to the very thing that you are thinking you can escape by cloaking yourself with those lies. So these people are living in a very comfortable way. They're living in a very quiet way. And this is the way many of us were raised. We grew up in environments, not even just churches, maybe even the kind of people or the home that we're around, if your home was even a Christian home, right? That would never touch on the dark realities, on the dangers of the broken world that we live in, and definitely not from a spiritual perspective. So people might tell you, oh, obviously, your car can be stolen or this or that. You know, the funny thing is that many times people were aware of the possibility of evil impacting them from outside the church than even within the church that should have been educating. So in your company, in your street, or wherever you are, you know, you may hear people talking about, oh, that neighbor is a witch, that this is a that, you know, it's like that is the place where you learn about these things. But in the context of the church that you attend, nobody says anything about it, because it's like if we don't talk about it, maybe it's like it's not real. And you know what that creates? It creates that situation, the same kind of situation that happened with a lot of people growing up, where in your own family, nobody addressed things around like maybe sexual health or, you know, education. So the education you got was from outside. And sometimes for some people, they got a very demonic version of that education. So because you wouldn't address it in your home to your children, because, you know, parents didn't address it to their children, you know, children ended up hearing it from their friends, from their neighbors, from all kinds of people. So in that generation, I mean, I can only speak for the, you know, time that I grew up in, right? You know, so you had that in that duration or in that time frame, it was very rampant to hear stories of molestation and abuse. Why? Because these things were not addressed even in their home. So if they went out and things were done, they didn't even understand the context of what was done to them, much less how to address it. And so a lot of fear, a lot of would I say falsehood, just circled these things. So many things never came to light. Whereas for those people who it happened differently for them, where in the context of their home, parents sat them down and talked to them about these things and said, dears, this is what this is. This is what your body is like. This is what this part is. This is what that does. This is what this does. This is the effect of this. This is the effect of that. Not, oh, if a boy touches you, you'll be pregnant. No. They actually gave proper education to these children. Because of that, when they would go out in the world, they understood things. If somebody was advancing towards them in a way that wasn't right, they knew. So they knew how to defend themselves. They understood the context of what was being said to them. They knew how to respond. There were more people who got sucked into this path of, you know, molestation and all kinds of things, not because they were bad kids, not because their eyes were open, but because they were ignorant, because nobody taught them, or they taught them a very bogus thing. Oh, if you sit near a guy, if you know, I'm using this example because I feel like it's very relatable. I feel like it's something that many of us can. Please let me know if I'm right, because maybe everybody else on this call grew up in the kind of home where parents actually sat you down, told you, okay, this, okay, that. If that's you, then, you know, great. But if you understand what I'm talking about, if you understand, you know, that setting I'm describing, please let me just know that I'm not making it up. I'm not the only one. I know this is something that happened a lot in our generation, maybe because there was no like digital media and things like that, but people did not feel the need to address it properly with kids, right? So like I said, why have I gone this direction? Because it's a relatable thing that I can compare with what's, you know, I'm trying to explain here. What I'm trying to explain is that many of us grew up in this kind of churches, in this kind of gatherings, in this kind of congregations, where nobody actually took the time to talk about the dark things of life, the dark side of spiritual things. So it was enough to gather people in church and just tell them, oh, God is wonderful, God is love, all of that. And some places, it almost seemed as though the focus was to find all of the, yes, thank you very much for confirming. Thank you. Many people found out the hard way. Many people found out by trial and error. Do you understand that? Why? Because nobody actually gave the proper education. So back to the churches, or just this kind of gatherings or this kind of places. Your neighbors are talking about it. People are talking about it. But the place where you go to worship is not addressing it. That listen, there is indeed the existence of wickedness. So for a long time, many messages were more focused on, oh, prosperity and this and that, right? So we had certain gatherings, assemblies that were more focused on, listen, do you know that, okay, not that is a bad thing, but the majority of, there were people that this was the thing that they would do, is that they would put together a compendium, a book of all the good things that surround prosperity. So all the things that you can confess. these 200 scriptures on prosperity, sell it as a book, go and read it. So people just grew up to learn how to name and claim. Oh, prosperity, wonderful, and all of that. Other people, they were even just so ignorant. Why? Because they were living in somebody else's atmosphere. They've created it, they've packaged it for you. You don't even know what went into building that kind of environment. So the person who built it, then put you in there and was giving you confessions and all of that and things like that. And as a result, a lot of ignorance. So why wouldn't you live a very complacent life? It didn't ever occur to you that there's actually wickedness. It didn't occur to you that witches are not what you read in storybooks. It didn't occur to you that when they talk about, sirens and mermaids, these are not just any biting characters. It did not occur to you that these people, these entities, these beings actually were real. Why? Because nobody was teaching it there. So people grew up to be very complacent, very comfortable. The majority of their engagement was to make those confessions. I decree today 10 million is navigating its way towards me. All things are mine, saith the word of the Lord. I'm trying to give you the picture of these people in life. People who, yes, because make no mistakes, these good things that they, gave to you in the Bible, they are there. They are real. Nobody made it up. It's right there, all in there. The Bible, the word of the Lord speaks about your prosperity, about your health, about your well-being. It really does address those things. But what I'm saying is that you cannot take half of the Bible and teach it. You will raise a people that are so lopsided that it may actually be to their detriment. This is what happened with a lot of us. So we were in environments where a lot of wickedness was happening around us, but we were not aware. We didn't know. Even if we encountered it, even if it looked us smack in the face, we couldn't recognize it. Why? Because in the conclave, in the gathering where we were, it was not addressed. The model of teaching that was given was to build a people who could live a secure and quiet, just, kind of life. Whereas whether you like it or not, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, they are the 5 men who are roaming around looking for territory to take over. They are the people who are moving around looking for things to do. Listen, I'm trying to say this and I hope that you understand why. Because I'm not trying to, discount the message of your faith and all of that. It is very valid. What I'm saying is that right now, balance needs to be brought back. Too many people have been fed, they are obese, they are round on, all things are yours, name it and claim it kind of teaching. And as much as you're confessing it, your head is still being shaved. And you have to ask yourself why. So this is what happened with these people. They sat down there quiet, just enjoying a nice soft life. Why? Because they had their book of 200 confessions of prosperity. And guess what? They prospered. Their land was actually good. Wasn't it? That's what they said here now. That the land was good. That's why the Danites wanted it. It was good. Whereas, as much as you have confessed and now built your good land, you cannot neglect the fact that they are the Danites that are still roaming around, looking for area, looking for territory to cover. Until today, this is how the Bible describes the enemy. He just keeps roaming around. He just keeps roaming around, looking for where he can, get stuff done, looking for where he can take over. And these people sat up there, and this was their fate. This was the life that they lived. I want to just make this clear, that when people teach these things, they're not trying to instill fear. They are not trying to monger fear. They are not trying to be like, oh, you are only ever talking about the bad or the... No, it's not. Because you have to look at Jesus. You have to look at Jesus, who is our patterned man. As much as Jesus came to teach the gospel of the kingdom, as much as he came to teach people about love, and he said love was the greatest, as much as he kept talking about faith and all of that, these are core things. And these are many of the things that many people were raised on. Oh, faith, love, all of that. Oh, the kingdom. Yes, good. But you see, Jesus at the drop of a hat was ready to cast out a demon. Because as much as he was, talking about love, as much as he was, talking about faith, as much as he was wanting to focus on those positive things, on those good things. Oh, as long as you have faith, if you just have faith, oh, love is the greatest. As much as that message was coming from him, it was also still coming from him that you do not let demons just slide. If he collided with one, he sent it out. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say here? How did we miss the example of Jesus, who we're supposed to be like? Who on the one hand will acknowledge that yes, love is the greatest, love is it, we should love, all of the commandments, it all comes down to love, all of this. Oh, you receive anything by faith. But he did not neglect the fact that there were some things that were honestly being orchestrated by demons. And as a result of that, when you came across those things, you had to address them. This is the reality. So many of us indeed grew up very complacent. So at this point in our lives, it's almost like we're playing catch up, because decades of complacency have led us to where we are now. And maybe this complacency is not even just you that it started from. The complacency started with even parents. Oh, let's just sit down quietly. Chunks of your life, Satan is taking bites and bites out of your life, but you're just like, there's no such thing as evil. No evil, no evil. No such thing as that. Meanwhile, you can see Satan taking large bites out of people's life. Yet, it was like, no, it's not such a thing. No, it can never happen. I'm trying to tell you that telling yourself that it doesn't exist does not make it go away. What is wise is to know how to address it. What is wise is to know who you are. What is wise is to know what you have and how to address it. That's it. So that's why what Shade was, it was ministering to me so mightily. It was ministering to me so mightily. Some of us don't have any idea of this, or at least prior to now, we're even just trying to accept. Some people come into a ministry that addresses things like this. I'm like, oh, please, I beg, I don't want these people and that kind of thing. You can't wish it away. Do you understand? If it's there, the only thing you can do is to address it, put it in its place, but not to act like it doesn't exist. Some of us, the extent of what we know because of the way we were raised and the kind of gatherings we were in is only, okay, that God has given us favor and prosperity. I'm telling you that I agree with that. I'm not saying that one is not right and the other. No, I'm saying that you can't take half of it. So how do you read the Bible that tells you that, okay, God has given you favor, He has given you all things, but then you now close the part that says that you are literally God's battle axe? What's the battle axe? A decorative item? Home decor? I mean, come on. You know better than that. So why would you let someone sell you these kinds of things? Why would you let someone give you these kinds of things? And you see the danger with it is that some of the people who taught these things, they did it in sincerity. So you'd see people who are going through much. People, they are dealing with so much. And it's like they're going to meet, maybe the man of God or the pastor, and like, oh no, it's just, you don't think about these things, Joe. Jesus has died for your sins, and all those kinds of things. And people are in anguish. People are suffering. They are being oppressed. You can't explain away their reality. It is real. It is real. As much as you want to wave it off, it is real. But this environment is determined to push a message of, oh, don't, just believe all things are yours and everything has been, all of that. And it's not the truth. Even in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 32, it says, fools are destroyed by their own complacency. So what it's trying to tell us is that complacency is a characteristic of fools. It's a trait. Do you understand? It's a trait of the foolish. It said fools are destroyed by their own complacency. So it's saying that this complacency, the only people that you can find this kind of things with is people who have decided to behave in a way that can be described as foolish. It said fools are described by their own complacency. That is their nature. This is why we are raising a house, a group of women who are warriors, not complacent women. Not the complacent woman, not the soft life queen. No. A group of women who are actually warriors. A group of women, and the right kind of warrior. Because when we talk about having the understanding of the landscape, the territory that you operate in, some of us, we understand one kind of warfare. The kind of warfare we understand is ground warfare. Warfare of quarreling. So when we talk about warfare, is actually we actually have a degree in it. It's just in the wrong dimension. It's physical warfare, we know. Oh, someone said, oh, we're ready to go. We're going to fight. We're going to shout. But when we're talking about warfare, where warfare happens, where warfare really matters, they're not there. So many of us, we're acting like we don't know about warfare. We know because we live in it. Someone says something and then, this is it, backbiting, all of that, causing chaos among brethren, all of that. That is the kind of, but I'm telling you that there's the warfare we need to know is how to handle spiritual things. This is who you are. It's your identity. You can't run away from it. God built you and puts in you what it takes to shut down the activity of demons, activity of darkness around you. If that wasn't the case, you would not be a target. Settle it right now that you were built by God, a weapon to address injustice, to address the oppressions of darkness. That is how God wired you. You can't do anything about it. So for you to not understand this aspect of your identity and this aspect of who you are is to leave a lot of things unchecked. Is to literally be living like a sitting duck. You are just waiting around for someone to come take you out. So yes, I love a soft life queen who's surrounded with favor and, prosperity and all kinds of things. But guess what? That soft life queen, at the drop of a hat, she'll be ready to get on the field, get into battle. This is the reality about life. This is the reality that we need to embrace. So like Sade said, many of us are dealing with things that should not even be able to survive around us. And it's not because they're that powerful. It's not because they are that strong. It's because we don't even realize that we are the ones who should take it out. We are the ones who should take care of it. We're just comfortable. We're just like, hey, this and that. When we should actually equip ourselves, when we should have what it takes to address those things, take them out. We're just sitting around. These things are just, it's like when there's a nuisance, a fly that's a nuisance around you. And that fly is not stronger than you. It's just, making moves. Like, you should be able to address it and shut down. So many of us are dealing with things that are still happening around us simply because we have not embraced identity. We don't know who we are. We don't understand that this is the landscape, and we're wanting things to just be wonderful and perfect, and we want to convince ourselves that if we just sit down and believe the best, everything will be fine and everything will work out. I'm telling you this, that you cannot go through life being like the people of Laish. You can't. Because at any point in time, there are people, there are entities, there are agents walking around looking for areas, looking for lives to take over. Looking for territory to take over, looking for families to establish their own presence, to start to make a mess of things. So there's no room for complacency. There's no room in complacency. There's no room for complacency. I like the way that Amos chapter 6 puts it from verse 1, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. I think if you read all the way through to, maybe about 7 or so, you'll see it. It says, woe to them that are at ease in Zion. I love it. That's enough. That's enough. The title of that particular portion, it says, woe to the complacent in Zion. My message today is a call. My message today is a wake-up call for those of us who want to just settle into a complacent life. I have a nice little job. I have a nice little husband. I have a nice little pile of cash. So why am I bothering with these things? The Bible says, woe to the complacent in Zion. It says, woe to the complacent in Zion. Woe to them that are as is in Zion, and trust in the mountain of Samaria, which are named after, which are named chief of the nations, all of that. It says that when you do things like this, it says you put far away the evil. It says you are pushing it out. Not that you have taken care of it all. You are just moving it forward. You are just pushing it forward gradually. It says, woe to them that are at ease in Zion. Once you realize that you are a citizen of Zion, because that's even your identity, you just accept that this is my citizenship. I'm a Zionite. So once you know that you are a citizen of Zion, the Bible is letting you know that there's no room for being complacent. In this place, there's no room for being complacent. You can either operate like a citizen of Zion that understands that there's no room for complacency, or you can be like a citizen of Laish. There are two. There are two models. You can live like you are from Laish, or you can live like you are a citizen of Zion, because the Bible says, woe to them that are complacent in Zion. That is, there is no room for complacency there. I want to just shake someone awake. Someone who has been thinking, you know what, I don't have energy for this thing. You don't have to have energy for it. You don't have to have energy for it. One thing you have to get clear is that Satan does not need a reason. He does not need a reason. These people of Laish, were they looking for anybody's trouble? They weren't even leaving their city. They just sat in there chilling, enjoying their nice life. They just sat in there having a good time. And their enemies came for them. I want to actually read Amos 6. And I want to read a few verses. I think it's important that I read them. And once I do that, I will start bringing the message to a close. It says, what sorrow awaits you? I'm reading New Living Translation because I like the way it is worded here. It says, what sorrow awaits you who lounge in luxury in Jerusalem, and you who feel secure in Samaria? You are famous and popular in Israel, and people go to you for help. But go over to Calne and see what happened there. Then go to the great city of Hamath and down to the Philistine city of Gath. You are no better than they were, and look at how they were destroyed. You push away every thought of coming disaster. You see what I'm saying? You're like, oh, God forbid, it doesn't exist. You know, if you don't believe it, it cannot happen. That's what they're talking about here. It said you push away every thought of coming disaster, but your actions only bring the day of judgment closer. It says, how terrible for you who sprawl on ivory beds and lounge on your couches, eating the meat of tender lambs from the flock and of choice calves fattened in the stall. You sing trivial songs to the sound of the harp, right? There is warfare on your doorstep. But you're like, you know what, this Friday night, let me go and blow off some steam. Let me just go and cool off in this lounge with my little, drink and my shisha or whatever. That's what they're describing you, my dear. That's what they're saying. You are living a nice life. Okay, look at the next verse. It says, you drink wine by the bowlful, right? Because it's TGIF. You are drinking wine by the bowlful. It says you perfume yourselves with fragrant lotions. He said, you care nothing about the ruin of the nation. He said, therefore, you will be the first to be led away as captives. Suddenly, all your parties will end. And you know, the funny thing is, this thing, I may be saying as if it's funny, but that's what it looks like many times. When people are being told to tighten up, to focus on the things that really matter, to understand what it means to guard themselves, to understand what it means to embrace their rounded identity. Yes, a soft life queen, chilling and all of that, but also a warrior. And you will get whichever side, is required at the right time. When we are calling people to build, to develop themselves in this way, it's almost as though we're putting a burden on them. But the Bible is describing the people who live like this. It says you can't, you only deceive yourself when you're like, hey, it's not this. It said one day, eventually, the parties will end. And the funny thing is, that's usually what happens. So when they're trying to tell these people, they won't hear. When they're trying to say, we'll still be thinking, oh, I can still do this, I can still do that. Shadi, you're not the only soft life queen. We are many soft life queens here, so please just know you're not the only one, okay? Listen, I'm not gonna even deny my soft life queen life. I like that stuff, okay? But you see what? Soft life queen will have to learn to wield a few weapons, okay? Soft life queen will have to learn how to dress up and, stash her weapons under that nice gown, under that beautiful dress. Soft life queen will have to know how to take off the heels and be ready to fight at the drop of a hat. That's it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So yes, I like soft life queen. I like a soft life queen life, but soft life queen, yes, we need to know how to have a knife in the shoe. We need to know how to draw one out of their bag. Inside the bag, there's a pocket knife. In the shoe, there's another one. Wrapped around their, undergarments, there's the one that's like a sword. Soft life queen needs to know how to kit up like this. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Because when you don't want to live that way, when you don't want to understand it, when you don't want to take on this identity and learn to live ready, this is the reality. One day will come, as the Bible says, the parties will end. You see, when people have now gone through it, when people have now suffered, maybe before we said, don't go there, don't do it, don't go, don't do that. Then they will not be willing to come back and listen. At that point in time, there's no party. I remember one time a person that I know was dealing with something major. And it's funny to me. I mean, it's not funny, right? But I think about it now, like in the context of reading this verse. And I'm like, wow, how it says suddenly all the parties will end. So I remember this thing that was going on with them was very, like serious, right? And so, I love her. I mean, she said, baby girl with a touch of Holy Ghost military. Listen, this is the modern woman. Forget what you're hearing on social media. Forget what you're seeing online. Forget all the feminism, hoopla and whatnot. This is the... So, when we're talking about the modern woman, people would think it's about, oh, I'm just, I'm just going to level up and live. This is the modern woman. This is the modern woman. Somebody who is ready to give you any side that you need. Okay, not found wanting. So back to the story of this person, going through so much, going through a lot. And I was thinking, you know what? This thing needs to be addressed because it wasn't just something that was affecting them. It was actually generational. It was generational. We were able to trace it back a few generations back. So I said, you know what? This thing that you're dealing with, it has to be addressed and all of that. So I even went to meet one of my friends who I feel like this person has a horn in deliverance. I feel like if you have to count like deliverance ministers that I know, like I'm like this, like just this one, go there. And I told the person, I said, I have this person, they have this problem or that or blah, blah, blah and everything. And he said, okay, no problem. Let's, see how we can handle it. And then I think the next day I saw them celebrating, getting their tickets to Beyonce's show or tour, whatever the thing was. Hey. Let me pause here. Let me go back a second and explain what I said. I'm saying that I was running helter-skelter, looking for how we could cast a few demons and take down some familial altars. I'm not kidding, and I'm not exaggerating when I said that this thing was at least 3 generations back, a consistent pattern that even the person had to admit, you know what, it is true. I can see that this thing is not just something that is happening with me. It indeed is generational. And I'm running, and I'm like, okay, let's set it up. We're going to, we're about to take down some altars. And the next thing I see is this person celebrating, going, hey, because they were able to secure tickets for Beyonce's concert. And I just sat there and I said, are you kidding me? I told my friend, I said, CM, I just want to let you know, okay, that this is the person. No, they are not really this. He said, then don't even bother. Don't do it. Person said, at this point in my ministry, I will not engage in a deliverance session with somebody who has not realized that that life that they had is now gone. It's a joke, so I won't do it. I said, okay. It's that I won't even do it. I won't even do it. For someone who does not realize that this is where we are, I won't even do it. So this is what the Bible says. It says, you may not want to pay attention to it now. You may not want to realize, you may not want to accept it as the truth, but it says, if you continue in this way, it says, a day will come, the parties will end. A day will come, the parties will end. So the question is, would you rather just be aware of where you are, who you are, what you're working with, and ready to wield whatever is needed at any point in time? Or do you want to keep walking around like a sitting duck, like the people of Laish, waiting for just any passerby who has the slightest interest in your land, in your territory, to come and knock you all out and kick you out of there? This is the way that many of us live. This is the way that many of us live. So when we come and we say, okay, let's, pray, let's learn to do this, it's because of things like this. Many of you may not realize it, but there are many of you that have built up so much spiritual energy within you. And maybe over the last year, I don't know how long, that, you would come for the Thursday prayers, and all you're doing is just mounting. Because there are different kind of prayers you could pray. Some prayers are, Father, give me this, Father, give me that. But when we come to, that's what I get very particular about the Mount Obsession. I don't want any prayer points raised at that time of, no. Just climb. That's it. Many of you may not realize it, but you will be surprised to know that the amount of warfare that should typically be able to survive around you has drastically reduced simply because of that singular act. Simply because of that singular act of just building this prayer muscle, just building this capacity within you, such that anything that is going on, you understand, you know how to address it. Many people, you may not realize it. You may not realize it, but you are not the same woman. You're not living like a careless woman. You are not some random baby girl. Yes, maybe you are walking around looking like a baby girl, but let one demon run up on you and they will understand that, okay, there's something different built into this one. There's something different built into this one. This is what, we're trying to say here. So it's not because we are thinking, don't enjoy this. What is even enjoyment at the end of the day? What is enjoyment at the end of the day? Damola and I were talking about it and we're like, man, it's so, like Satan really puts in a lot of work. You will go out in the cold. It is like, I'm talking about the US. You'll be going out to the club at how many o'clock? When you could be sleeping and you are wearing these heels that are making you walk like a crab. And it's so cold that, your bones are hitting each other and you are on a line trying to get inside the club. When you can be sleeping in your bed. When you can be praying, gathering energy. You look at it and you're like, you know what? Satan really puts in some work. Because how did he package something this useless and convince people that this actually makes sense? You now drink one alcohol and then the next morning you wake up, all your insides are turned in. And you're like, how did you package this lie? How did you package this lie? Listen, I just... You see, one of the things I'm thankful to God for is because, like they say, any way your story goes, God will still use it. So I'm not talking about this like, these people who... No, I'm talking about someone who did go line up in those days, in the days of foolishness. Do you understand? There's warfare in your family. And you are there. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for being real. Thank you, ladies, for being real. Ebere, please don't feel bad. Don't feel bad because we have all learned, we have all grown. You will come from a tedious day of work and you clad yourself in some uncomfortable gown. The winter, your boss will be like this. You not enter inside. The noise is making this. You can't say, a mess. Listen, I don't know why I'm even focusing on that because I know that there are many things that people do, to put themselves in a complacent way. But listen, I have to bring this message to a close quickly. So I'm going to take 5 minutes because Shade took 5 minutes for my time, right? So, but my point is this. There is no room to live like this. There's no room to live like this. The modern woman is the woman who can both, go out there and be, this nice, poised, elegant woman. But listen, if you meet her in the place of prayer, she knows what time it is. She knows it's not a time to be here. There are times though that you can speak those kind of tongues like, hey, but there are some times that you just know, as it's coming out, it will be sounding like bombs. It will just be like bombs. You got to learn to live that way. You can't just sit down there or whatever. I want to read verse 28 in that book of Judges. Because this is what happened to those people of Laish eventually. After the people of Dan had decided that they were going to come take their land. Verse 28 says this. Actually, let me start from 27. It says, and they took the things which Micah had made and the priest which he had and came unto Laish and unto a people that were at quiet and secure. And they smote them with the edge of the sword and burnt the city with fire. And there was no deliverer. There was no deliverer. It's not because they were far from Zidon and they had no business with any man. But even if they were far from Zidon, guess what? Not a single one of them learned to fight. Not a single one of them learned the art of warfare. Not a single one of them learned the way of war. So when people came upon them, as much as their land was lush and it was good and whatnot, the enemy came and took it all away and cleared them out like weed. Why? Because there was not a deliverer among them. Who is a deliverer? We're talking about one who understands the way of warfare, one who understands how to battle, one who understands how to fight. Even Jesus gave this warning. And it was in Luke chapter 21 and verse 34. Now, he was talking about the day of the Lord that was coming. But the idea holds true and it holds the same. It says, and take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness. I want to read another translation, because many times, it's, if we're reading these translations, it doesn't land well. Okay, so it says, watch out, don't let your hearts be dulled by carousing and drunkenness. Okay, and worries of this life. You're just so concerned about these little things. You're just so concerned about things that don't have any value outside of here. Drunkenness, you're just chilling, you're just living a good life. It said, don't let your heart be dulled by it. It said, don't let that day catch you unaware. What is that day? The day that perhaps the Danites are passing by your land, passing by your territory, and decide, you know what, I like this, let me take it. It says, do not let your heart be dull. It says, watch out, don't let that day catch you unaware, like a trap. For that day will come upon everyone living on the earth. Listen, the question is not if that day will come. The question is if you will even have noticed the intensity of that attack or warfare. Why? Simply because of how much you have built yourself. Simply because of how much you have kitted yourself. Because don't be mistaken that there are people that maybe it is warfare magnitude 3 that comes at them, and it looks like a tornado has knocked them out of life. And then there are people who maybe come upon warfare level 10. I'm just, making up numbers just, for illustrative purposes. And they look like maybe at most they were like, they just, stumbled and continued, like barely anything happened to them. You're like, did anything? No. And it was warfare level 10. Meanwhile, the other person had warfare level 3, and it was almost as though they were cleared out of this life. This is the reason why. It's because of your heart posture. It's because of your preparation. It's because of your awareness of your identity. And so what is the recommendation that Jesus has? So that you are not like that person who that day comes and you are taken unaware. Because for many people, that day will eventually come. And the question is, are you going to be ready? Verse 36 is the direction. It says, watch ye therefore and pray always. This is it. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things. Watch ye therefore. Now, please, I'm not trying to take it out of context. I know what Jesus is talking about here, okay? It's talking about the end of things, but I'm telling you that it applies in this very same situation, this very same scenario that I'm talking about. It says, watch ye therefore and pray always. So you learn to build yourself on that watchtower. You learn to be like that woman who stays at the top of the tower, so that when you see an adversary coming back, you are ready to let down a stone. It says watch and pray, so that you are counted worthy to escape these things. Why? Because you know that this thing is coming. You know how to respond. Even when it comes and maybe you didn't block it before it came, the Lord is able to guide you and teach you how to fight. He's able to hold your hands and tell you, do it this way, do it that way, pray in this manner, pray about this, take it to that person, join hands with that person, let that person join you in this prayer. That is what it means to understand the art of warfare. Maybe another day we will take a teaching that focuses on that. You have to have this in your kit. You have to have it in your kit. You must understand what it means to operate in a space, in a season, in an environment of either existing warfare or potential warfare. So we're going to pray. And the prayer we're going to take is very simple. It's in Psalms chapter 144 and verse 1. It says here, "Blessed be the Lord my God, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight." For many of us, you have to pray this prayer and pray deep. You have to pray these prayers and pray deep, because this is what you need right now. It's for God to teach you. Because the truth is, when it comes to warfare, I keep telling you, don't think that things will happen by a script. That is why the first instruction Jesus said was watch, then pray. Not pray and watch. Your watching equips you to even know how to pray. If you don't know what is happening and you are just watching, you are watching and you're just, it says watch, then pray. So this is the prayer we must take right now. It says, "Blessed be the Lord my strength, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight." This is all many of us need to pray right now. Is, Father, teach my hands to war. Teach my fingers to fight. This is your prayer. And I'm telling you that the Lord will answer you. Because many of us came from the exact background, the exact description that I'm sharing right now. This is not a me saying, oh, I'm talking because I know where I came from. Many of us came from this kind of background, but there is a God who teaches people and teaches their hands to war and their fingers to fight. And that is the one that you're going to call upon this evening and say, Father, teach my hands to war, teach my fingers to fight. I am tired of living like a sitting duck, waiting for the enemy to come and sweep me away. So Father, teach my hands to war and my fingers to fight. Let's take that prayer in 1 minute before we wrap up the meeting. Mali Palenda.